the streets I shown you. As you can see, the form, the proportion are completely to be revisited, but in terms of spaces, it's possible to see how wide is the street where the tram is going to pass without causing any problems. The tram line is not drawn here, but clearly is on the right. So this is the place where is the museum of the children, where it's possible to turn, and as you can see, the cars are above, obviously will be not visible like this. The loggia will be not like that, but you can naturally go from one side to the other without matching any car and without risking any problem for children, which are probably the most important individuals to be taken in consideration when we make a design. Thank you. If we organize a summer program, we will do something like this.
Very soon. Questions or observations? Any thought to share? You understood? Yes.
Like you said, like most of the people were like locals, so they didn't know any architectural standards or anything. So were they mostly participating while documenting things or suggesting, or were they participating while designing also?
Actually, yes, they have no idea of any standard, any rule, any system, any regulation for healthy reasons or for whatever kind of reason. So the role of ours as a professor was also to bring them the know-how of about these issues. But in this case, the design that was very, very fast, but not that far from what is really possible to be done, was based on the analysis of the typology. That's why I said, in the short amount of time we had for this program, what we are going to produce is much more a kind of make-up of the buildings in order to show what is possible to be done in Nalanda to make walls that looks like the older, to form people to restore the older. Here it was really buildings, and it was necessary to study carefully the typology of building. So how an apartment, how a kind of house like that is organized, how you disengage the different rooms. So it was much more in depth. The analysis was developed much more in depth. And then the local architect, the organizer of the school, were two architects of Mexico City that were students of mine in Notre Dame. And we worked before the summer school. We have been working from November 2004 to basically May of 2004, so just 2024, sorry, 25, just before the beginning of the summer school, with the architects and engineers of the municipality of Oaxaca that were promoting with us the project. We were working with the responsible of the superintendent for the redevelopment of the place, and also to the Association of Citizens that is promoting the recreation of the tram line. And so we tried in the project to put together all this information, despite the time was very, very short. The project in some way are respectful of what are the needs, also in terms of a standard to be produced, and not in terms of standard of an apartment, but of minimum standard to provide all the functions that for a district that has to be autonomous, you have to produce. For this reason, as you see, there are schools from a primary school, elementary school, to high school. There are market hall. There is something I forgot to underline also, the police station, which is already existing, but actually is a horrible shelter, which was one of the deposits for the Vegan. So we propose adjacent to that in a void the new police station in order to migrate the structure from one to the other, respecting the dimension they need, because also they have these giant kind of truck, jeep, van, whatever name we want to use, patrol, to be parked, so it was necessary to provide also space for these things. So in some way we were trying to do, obviously it's something that cannot be considered a very final project to be given to the site of construction, but in some way we try to let people know how to proceed, who you should ask, and what have to be produced in order to make this project feasible.
Anyone else, any other questions?
So if you don't talk, I can talk. And I'm boring, I'm talking too much. I think it would be nice. This is the PowerPoint presentation we presented in the Museum of Oaxaca to the municipality, to the inhabitants, to the superintendenza, and to everybody. It was a public conference to present the project to everybody and to engage discussion with the people. It would be nice if when you finish all your drawings, I'm glad that the analysis on site was already scanned, we can work together to organize a PowerPoint presentation, because we can have enough of your drawings on the walls, but the view of the drawings is beautiful, but it's like in a museum, people are lining up, probably are not paying much attention on the drawing because someone is pushing to go forward, while if you impose the view of the screen, even if it is for 30 seconds per slide, that is something that people are focusing, are understanding. Then if you can also add a couple of words to explain what are you doing, that is extremely useful, especially for students of architecture, because I don't know, my knowledge of schools is mainly based on the schools of architecture, but I think even in the school of geography or whatever school, it is very important, and this is what I try to do with my students, and the presentation we have in the afternoon is today, the one yes, the other conference I have to make this. In the evening, yes. I'm going to show also some of the work of my students, so if you will be there, it will be interesting. I think something important students need to learn when they are in the school and not when they are out is how to be professional, how to make a presentation. And the PowerPoint is a very good system to make a professional presentation where with a few words you have to say the right things to be said, and that's it. In order to open the debate and show that this is not something that is done mechanically only because the professor was asking to do it, but it's something that you have done because you understood the meaning, you understood the value, and you try to donate in some way to the community something that could be yours, but
can be the output of this course. Okay. And otherwise, if you need anything, there's some color in my cabin. You can get that. That can also be used. And students of architecture, you can arrange things from your hostel. That also will be. How many of architecture students are here? How many of it will be able to arrange colors? So, I think that is a good enough. Okay.
So I will give you the very rudiments to do watercolor is extremely fast to be done, and the great suggestion I can give is I don't know how many of you are really familiar with the watercolor technique, but generally there is the tendency, even in my school, to prepare a jar of color, which is making the color extremely pale, and it's also making the paper extremely. I rarely stretch my drawing. I make the watercolor directly because I'm using the palette. When you use the palette, you can save a lot of money. Believe it or not, I have a box of watercolor I purchased in 1996 in St. Petersburg, which is still alive.
Have the heritage to the museum.
I purchased in the shop of the Fine Arts Academy.
Okay. Wow. Carry heritage along. So let's move to the studio. Are you already hungry? Or we can work for 1 hour and then.
We can work in this.
Yes, I think that will help you streamline your presentation. So let's move to the.
The state is getting poor and poor and poor, and when the state is poor, it all manages the development of places. And the Testaccio, yesterday we heard about capillary participatory program to just a thing. It's a system that has never existed. In Testaccio, we have a 5 year of work made by these Domenico Ramoni, architecture, very neat. This brought to the invention of the with the width of the building that was around 345 per thousand to 7. It was the war, but the mortality was going down because the healthy condition of the buildings was revisited. It was to the work of all these disciplines that were being but the way of designing and the way of creating not as these people we don't want this charity because the charity is what gives power to the tyranny because it's not for you succeed and then you are happy. I have food, but this is not the way of going. You need to have a leader. You need to create a cooperative of workers. You have those that are expert of training. And this was also performing, as I said yesterday at the museum, what is written in our shown the way of doing, the way of developing, the way of involving the periphery that no longer exists. The quality, and especially when you have a district where you are planning the mixing, because among the different scientists that converted into design, together with the one of the school of sociology, and also the one of the anthropology. When you are making anthropological stuff, you have for one next to the other. I am a Domenico, you are one step above me, you are one step above her, etc. I don't want to appear like him as the king. I try to appear like the one that is just one step above me. And this is a way that, in some ways, if you want to use the word educating, is a self-educating people, because anthropologically people are behaving like that. Guess that the violence is here in the statue, and the Istituto per le case popolari, that was the institution invented the slogan La Casa Santa Beatrice, the education of all, because they understood how urbanism play an educational role in the community. So this means that this idea we have of places where people are ignorant, violent, or whatever you want, is just some common base, which is based on the way tyrants, if you want to use the proper word, which are managing these less than 100,000 people on the planet that are keeping 80% of the prosperity of the planet. Their goal is to promote war among the poor, instead of letting the poor know that they are poor because of them. So when you have a policy that is allowing people to understand that if they make a new demand, these are two groups of people fighting one each other that now. Because clearly when you have a sewage on the top of a hill with a building, so if you look just I was in the little villages of Middle Ages, but nearby what is district for super rich people with a skyscraper with a swimming pool of the mountain. And those places yes, indeed. Yes. Yeah, because the idea is to share all the information. But the idea of working with a different partner to learn different methodology.
Where did you get this element?
Because we have given a plane, 3 steps. So we have given these pillars. There will be around on all 4 corners. This is the pillar. That was inside a temple. Yes. So I gave that. Since it was a bit short, so I added an extra element. This one.
One question. So the actual building is this width, right?
Yes.
So you are replacing the walls of that. You are not attaching new walls of that. Because if you attach a new wall, this will be wider.
So when I color, I'll make sure to add 25 centimeter extra.
Okay. Because I saw this decoration here. But I like it. Right, the skills.
That area is so full of
You can end up this, you can hide behind this flat roof, or you can also make a kind of yeah, kind of stupa, or you can also do this other, but this is much more cordeli. This kind of, like a pillars, but having a combination could be even possible. But to make an insulation, to have a really short structure like a Moku architecture, something that is making a renovation. Taking inspiration from the stupa.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, it is possible actually.
This is the gate to the side of the museum. The main gate to the archaeological. Yeah. Remember that if you need to increase a little bit, it's not a problem. If you feel that looks squat, you want to make it. No, that's why I say that. In case you want to write into actually at 6 meter, and you feel that it's necessary to have a 7, 8 meter, don't be afraid to change something. What this is for which meeting?
For museum entrance gate.
The museum entrance. Okay.
There are the pillars. There is another gate also. The main entrance gate. There are the entry. This would be for car. People. This would go over there. This entrance type.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Triangular.
Yeah, for car, this must be very wide. So if you want to do this for car, it's going to be extremely cold. If I can give you a suggestion, if this is the proportion, if you have these two passages,
1:2. This should be 8 meters, 7 meters. This would be 10 meter tall.
yeah, but the thickness of bricks to make these steps properly without collapsing needs to be very large. So I'm wondering if, for instance, you can imagine to have a triangle here that is much more manageable with the bricks like this for the passages for people. And then here you can have maybe you can work on these. I don't know what kind of shape of art you want to do to make something that at the end it is not becoming immense with something that could be very weak, because you have to consider that all these bricks can project only this, and every brick is this thickness. So to arrive to close a passage like this would be immense. So at that point, I think this would be much more manageable. Then here you can do whatever you think you want to do, because this could be also something that consider the system of these big slabs of wood sitting on these. So in section you can have these, you have this facade that is projecting out like one of the monasteries. So here, then over this wood, you can have some.
The name of the museum. I decided to write the name of the
Yeah,
museum.
in a frieze, at that point you can also write a museum or whatever you want. So you can create a kind of frieze here. then you have the cannulation, and then here you will see this could be even flat with this system, because this is a nice system to enter into the monasteries. We have this stone bracket. If this is even lower, you can have more this stone bracket. You have this tiny projection that makes everything feasible and justify this good idea of having the triangular opening. Then here in between, if you want to make something more complex, you can make some of the colonnette that you are doing.
Participants, पानी का रखा हुआ है बिना पीने उसको चाहिए
To define this space. Because it could fit like that. So it should be divided in these two chords plus this one to create something that is also appearing to be taller, which allow you also to have this double system of to make it more proportional. But you know, I would work with the triangular opening on the narrow opening because the thickness of brick is this one. And if you want to close a space like this with the bricks that is like that, you need to go step by step and then you will have this. But if you need to cover the space that goes from here to there with this triangle, it will be immense because the proportion is the height of the brick and the maximum possible projection to wall that is falling down. Okay? Good. Triangular opening. While here, obviously, you need to have something wider that cannot be solved with that system of structure that could be made with a wooden structure, with a real vaulted structure. Because if it's a real vaulted structure, it's necessary at that point to consider how you can give a dimension to the pier to the system. And there is a very easy system used by the ancient population, in fact, in sketch, which is based on pure geometry. If this is the circle population, is to construct a symmetrical hexagon. So you take the compass, you move from here to here, from here to here, and you draw this other circle. This is allowing you to draw a perfect symmetrical hexagon. If this line goes down to match this circle, you have the perfect abutment that is preventing the collapse of the pier. So you will realize that if this is an arch, this is going to fall down because this is too thin. But considering that this is part of what is supporting, giving a little bit of thickness and giving some strong connection between this and that, at that point this force is going to be contrasted. Clear? The thicker is okay. Standing here, or there is some fascia that is supporting the window. Having a column, for instance, if you have a brick, let's say, if this is the window you have, and you have this plate here, you have this. This window looks a little bit suspended. But if here you have a series of row of bricks, and then below this you have bricks that are running differently, now making the most stupid possible. This becomes a good bed for this opening. And then above you can have the cornice for the radiation. So at that point you organize some facade that probably, not probably for sure, is going to have a tripartition. But you have the possibility to insert some of these typical cornices made with a simple projection and rotation of bricks. Yeah.
Ornamentation, we have also the columns. These are actually fixed columns. We want like half column projected from there. And there was a niche when we ended one of the other sides. We kind of have taken that structure into account that kind of speaks the language of
So this is the same building she's working with. So Anna, probably for the window, instead of making the cornice I was mentioning, you can also think about the fact that in the same building, probably you can have the same base and crenellation for your windows without addition anything, because that is the same building. So wrapping around, instead of having several kind of windows, we can have always the same features, which is also making the works easier, because at the end, when they know how to do one, they can do all the other without getting crazy. They can hire more people to work all on the same drawing.
So further, what we also wanted to decide on that, some of the building have this kind of like pedestal and we step up on that. So we are kind of incorporating that here, with 150 mm there, and then we will include ornamentation. We kind of want to include that arch-related ornamentation, like how it was in the pillars and the temple tree. We had a lot of arches going on. So we will be doing that, and further, since the structure is so heavily ornamented, we are going to keep the pillars simple, but we are going to ornament their bases, the pedestals.
And this is the ticket office of the museum or the archaeological site?
It's a ticket office.
Okay. Because I remember that the one of the museum used to have also this horrible shelter that could be really replaced. So is a real...
Like the building was whitewashed, it has the cornices and all that, but it was whitewashed. It was the museum building.
The museum ticket office, I mean, before entering into the museum, on the left side, it was a box and it was some kind of iron wood, I don't remember, shelter without any definition, which obviously is necessary to protect the people. And I realized that there is not necessary to protect only from rain, but also from birds. So a shelter is necessary. But
Cylindrical thing that you just do and that's
No, we are talking about Tibetan.
the same thing.
yeah,
In the
the
Tibetan
one that makes
monasteries
this
are
beautiful
typical,
sound.
yeah.
Yes, I understand. Well, that is nice. Maybe that is also keeping the birds away.
So we kind of want to do that at the like at the moment we will take the measurement of that hand level of almost 900 or 1200 something. So it can be done so the tourists can revolve that vehicle as they go to the properties.
Because this is also, for people like me that don't have any idea of this culture. It's a way that the building is teaching something that you never heard before. So I think it's a very good idea.
Further, what
I am watching with the perspective of the tourist.
further, what we are also customizing is that we have some clay tablets here and there on the Nalanda side. So the pattern of the clay tablets, we are going to incorporate that in the jali for the ticket counter. Like they have a jali and then you can pass the tickets from underneath. So for the jali work, we are going to use the patterns of the clay tablets.
Where we have the grill for the window, instead of grill, we can use the screen.
Yeah.
Put a screen, stone screen.
The jali work is going to
Be of iron or stone?
like we had something like that, small circles in the form of clay tablets, basically. So what we are going to do is that we are going to make a jali of the similar pattern and using that for
Material.
it will be iron.
किसी की बात कर रहे हो है ना?
There was also an idol picture. It was not an idol, but it was depicting like it was an idol. Idol picture. Like this one. So it resembles like an idol. Yeah. So we'll be mimicking that, but it will help us to show if it is a male toilet or a female toilet. No, because we can't make an idol. It's not a religious place. So we are deciding to make it something simple, something more understandable for people to explain if it is a female washroom or a male washroom. So this idol concept. Yeah. So this idol concept we are using to denote the male and female.
But now you are already working with a big pattern,
Yes.
which obviously needs to be modified when you make all these things. It would be probably easier to work with a flat surface, make all these, research and yes, all these elements that we want to introduce, and then maybe make freehand paint the brick shape, because these are obviously following the indentation of the brick. These are bricks that are partially indented and partially not. It's really reassessed and they all these issues. If necessary, I would rather not to avoid it.
So yeah, that's what I'm working over here. I'm looking good. We need some changes or
And are you using
हो सकता है कि रूम
A2 या A3 में कौन सा? A3 A3 वाला किसको दिया?
नाचने के लिए दे दिया था, उसके बाद मैंने दिया
नहीं नहीं उधर साइड से आने के बाद
साइड से आने के बाद तो मेरे पास था,
तुम्हारे पास?
लेकिन वो यूज वाले
ब्लैक वाले
ब्लैक वाले भी थे, ब्लैक वाले मेरे पास नहीं ये वहाँ तो नहीं दिए थे ना, नीचे दिए थे ना, नहीं के लिए
A2 था ना?
तो एक ही तो मान लिया
अच्छा A2 चाहिए हाँ A2 तो राहुल दे देगा
very stupid profile just to show you.
राहुल को
it's actually yes, there's nothing to do with everything else is accepted.
निकल रहे हैं आते हैं Parts which we are showing. So we are
और किसी ग्रुप को एक्स्ट्रा एक भी चाहिए क्या?
this is
A2 चाहिए क्या एक्स्ट्रा?
this is from the book of B.M. Mishra. It was found on the side of Nalanda. Now it's broken. It was broken in 2010. We are trying to recreate it and we will put it over here in the center. We will create a brick-like structure and put it in this center. It will be made of stucco.
Are these openings the sides of those that are existing?
Yeah. So
You have an image of the facade you are replacing.
we didn't find any different elevation. This is one of the big.
Okay. Because I think the proportions looks bigger. Is a little bit squat. So working with the proportions, when you have the correct idea, I think this opening is taller
Okay.
than this. Then obviously you have this aperture here. So keep all the fenestration you have and try to be as close as possible to real thing. You don't have all this space between the window corner, it seems like the window is much more displayed here. And this is a bit taller because if this is top, I don't know if you rise up, but in any case I can see that this figure sets up roughly here. So everything has to be increased a little bit. As well as also this window that looks a little bit too small. Because the composition, the way you are reorganizing the facade is pretty good. All these ideas are very good, but we need to be realistic because if you draw a person, you will realize that this is a little too squat and not realistic. And are you going to add some horns on these sheds or you are keeping it like that?
So we are going to have 2 columns for the shade of the portico.
Yeah, so you have 2 columns in front.
Front.
Excellent.
And we'll be showing the Buddhist style of like detailings on that stupa. This is the door we are trying. And our bonuses will have this design
This is nice. It's only necessary to reconfigure the size of windows to be realistic and to be a simple transformation of what we have today. Because the shape are good, but they need to be taller and to be wider and to be displayed when they are. Because we can imagine to move a window from, that door is there. If I decide to shut down that and open one here, probably behind I don't have any possibility to do it. So let's keep the opening where they are and as they are.
Which is we see on sites. They used at the bottom of the counter is the simple. I try to add minimalist style, like the simple earth fire big brick that one. And
This looks very thick as a brick. It looks like like a stone rather than bricks.
okay.
But these are following the dimension of the bricks you found because generally thin.
Yeah, that I took reference because we didn't measure that now. That's why. Yeah.
But you should see the file that were produced were to be shared, were not made by those that take it.
Okay.
Because as I remember, the brick
Yeah,
is
that was thin.
roughly 7, 6, 7, and it was 22, 25 the width.
Yeah. Okay.
Which means that keeping the line you have, probably changing the vertical line, you can bring this to the shape of a real brick and not a block of stone, because this looks actual construction.
Okay.
But the rest, I think it's nice. Maybe you have to work a little bit on the
Yeah,
wall. The only very important suggestion I can give you is to don't write freehandly what you want to write. It's not a crime if you write with a computer and you trace with a good font to be realistic. And being in this building for Nalanda, having only the English, I think it's not proper. I would write a ticket office, ticket counter, whatever, both in Hindi and in English, with a beautiful font. So part of the decoration, many buildings are decorated thanks to beautiful inscription.
Yeah.
Because it's an art. The art of calligraphy was the Greek name for the beautiful writing. That's calligraphy. So it's something that is, it could be the gesture that is giving the extra value to the building. Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Much more stretched. You can simply use the projection to make it. To go taller, if the bricks is the thickness you have, and if you want to be more vertical, instead of having this projection, which is like the thickness of the brick, you can have a projection that is like a half, and the arch will arrive here more vertical. You understand?
So I'm just the design piece is just to do continuity of the manuals, right? And I'm mixing with them.
But these are manual, because it looks like a manual construction.
My apologies. Yes, yes.
It's as for now, then you will change
I
this
will
out.
change.
Okay, no, because obviously Yeah, no, I got the layout. I got the layout. I was just wondering. Well, if it is something that is not only celebrating culture, my culture, I understand the similarity because yesterday I was saying, 2 days ago, I was saying, now I understood why the Spanish made this mistake and were talking about South America, India, because they found the incredible similarity especially in the religious building.
What I'm thinking, there was a manuscript, Indian manuscript, Sanskrit, basic that.
Yeah, no, that is totally. That is I was thinking that
No, no, I will be.
I'm not but maybe I'm wrong. But it seems like if you can use some of the motifs of Indian art decoration.
Participants, break for lunch at 1:30 and try to get back by 2 so that you have enough time to work on it. Half an hour is good enough? है ना? फटाफट lunch करके वापस आ जाओ ताकि अच्छे से काम हो सके. So 1:30 you can move.
The space in between. Yes, and this will be the place where you can have it. This is one building, and this is the other building. So if these are the two buildings, this will be the place where you can have one of these typical. That used to be of stone with these brackets of stone. And then above you can have. So you can link it. Or if you don't want to make that, the easiest is
खाना ठंडा हो भी अच्छा नहीं लगेगा. मिनिमम कितने टाइम बंद कर दे.
I don't know.